for loops are probably the most appropriate type of loop for the types of things that we've done thus far in terms of coding and programming. When we get into working with strings and reading in data, conditional loops, of which while loop is one of the two, really become much more useful. And so I'm just going to give you a brief look at a while loop at this point, working with some numbers, and then we'll look a little more at the do while in the next video lesson. And then once we get into working with strings and reading in data, you'll probably see the use of while loops much more commonly. So I have here an application. This might be a kind of a quiz for a student learning about doubling numbers. And we can ask them a question, in this case starting with the number 3. How many times would you have to double the value before reaching 24? And the student can actually change these values and basically test themselves, and show answer will show the answer. So I'm just going to play this so that you can see how this works. So we've got the number 3. How many times do I have to double that to get to 24? And I'm told the answer was 3 times. So if we double 3, we got 6. Double 6, we got 12. Double 12, we have 24. If I change this, say, to a 5 and 200, how many times did I have to double it? I'd have to double it 6 times, and I ended up with a value of 320. So it's got to be 200 or greater. So simply put, 5 doubled becomes 10, then 20, then 40, then 80, then 160, and then 120. So that was 6 times. So that's how this little application works, and we're going to use a while loop to determine what the answer should be. So I have here a button. My button is named show answer underscore btn. This is my feedback text at the bottom, feedback underscore txt. This input box is start underscore txt, and this is goal underscore txt for the second input box. So let's look at our code. It's not very long. We have an event listener for our button that when we click executes the function calc answer, and here's our calc answer. So we got a variable called start and a variable called goal, which is simply getting the numeric data from those 2 text boxes and creating those as numbers. So it's text data, converting it to a number. I have a variable called count, which is going to be my answer. It's going to start at 0. And then I'm simply running a while loop. So while start is less than goal, we're going to increment count, and then I'm going to double the value of start. So start times equals 2. And then we come back up to our loop, and we'll see if start is still less than goal. And if it is, we're going to increment count and double start. Once we hit the point of the loop where start is not less than goal, so it's either equal to or greater than, this code would no longer execute. We'd have a value for count as how many times we doubled, and that would be used in this string concatenation for our feedback. So our feedback in the text box would be it would need to be doubled, and then we take the value of count, convert that to a string, and add to it space times comma, and the final value would be space, and concatenate the start value, which is being updated in the while loop, and I concatenate a period. So that's an example of how we might use while with some numerical data to sort of do some, in essence, what-if analysis, or in this case, giving a little quiz to a student to figure out how many times they think it would take to double a number to reach a certain goal.